morning, LinkedIn. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, the world. Great to see you today, and welcome to the Gritty Business Show. Coming up on today's show with the incredible Peter Francis and the wonderful Richard Muller. Good morning, Ed.
I've got my t-shirt on, Andy. You'll be very, very pleased to see. How are you? Are you well?
Very well, thank you. Very well. How are you doing? You all right?
I'm doing very, very well indeed. I've been running around like the proverbial blue-arsed person today. So had loads of meetings already. We had a fantastic new meeting this morning. You were there, weren't you, at the Make It Happen Hub?
At the Make It Happen Hub this morning. I will, I'll put an overlay of that in a minute, and we'll share that one around.
It was just really good, wasn't it?
Yeah, sales accountability, lots of golden nuggets in there, run by the wonderful Elaine Atherton, which is a brand new club which has started, the Make It Happen Hub, which is on Wednesday mornings from 9 till 10:30 a.m. So that's really good. Fantastic to see Elaine. So big well done, Elaine, if you're watching. I know she's just finishing off her show. But anyway, guys, if you're out there, if you're watching, please do pop your questions in the comments. Please do say hello, get yourself a shout out. And if you'd like to come on the show, let us know as well. If you've got any great ideas, let us know. Always up for something new. So today, Ed, why don't we welcome the new members into the Cobra Club?
The new members into the Cobra Club. Well, we've got quite a few. So
here we go, Ed. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm going to hit the button.
I'm going to hit my button. Well, we've had a nice lot of new members coming into the Cobra Club. So let's start with welcoming Warren Milburn, who's joined Cobra Connect, Tosca Lahiri, who's joined into Birmingham Central with Zafran Khan, Steve Neal, who's joined Cobra M40, Peter McCallum, who's joined RHP, Laura Woodclass at HQ, Anthony D'Souza, great chap, just joined Royal Woodclass at HQ, and we have Angela Bulessi, who's joined at Cobra West. Do you have any people, Andy?
Fantastic. Then I'd like to welcome Rachel Collard, has joined Cobra M40 up in Northamptonshire, and Anna Garrett, hypnotherapist, who's joined yesterday on WBHQ, and Michael Thomas, who's joined Cobra Jurassic. So great to see you guys.
Just Anna Garrett.
We'll have to get Anna Garrett on.
I think we will. Sounds fun.
Yes. So plenty going on in the club. Let's have a quick look.
Exciting times. Let's
say hello to Meenal. Hi, Meenal.
Good morning, Meenal. How are you?
Yeah, great to see you, Meenal. Always good to see Meenal here. And right, we've got something coming up this weekend. We've got a big property event, I believe.
Have we?
Yes.
All about our property event. Oh, by the way, can I just say just one very quickly? Morning, Rachel Reed. If it's an app you need, call Rachel Reed. That's what we say about that. Sorry, I had to.
Absolutely. Great app developer, Rachel Reed. If it's an app you need, Rachel Reed. Fantastic. Anyway, let's hit this VT. And when we come back into the room after this, we're going to have Peter Francis in the room. We're going to have very interesting conversations today. So, let's hit this button and here we go. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, Andrew. Good morning, Ed. How are you doing?
Yeah, really, really well.
Very well, thank you.
I think Yvonne sent us a message saying, "Good morning, gentlemen." I don't think she realised I was in the room as well.
Do you know, I have to say, I hope you're feeling better, Yvonne, because she wasn't very well the other day, so it's really, really good to be back in.
Worry about Yvonne. Get well soon, Yvonne. Hope you're all right. Hope Cookie's looking after you. Also want to say hi to Charles. Good morning, Charles. Charles is coming on the show soon.
Morning, Charles.
First
Fantastic fella, Charles, and the little ray of sunshine that is Yvonne. Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, Yvonne.
Little ray of sunshine.
Fantastic. So, Peter.
Yes.
Before we get into, Emmett Mattel, how do we pronounce?
Oh, it's officially MAT Limited.
Right. Before we get into MAT Limited, I wonder if you could give us a little bit of a flavour about your background, where you've been, what you've been up to, and your journey that's led you to MAT Limited.
Sure. Well, I was made redundant back in the dark days of 1993, and I didn't know I couldn't find another job that was available at the time, so I decided to go contracting, and that was on electrical and automation engineering for some fairly big process consultants, and that continued for a number of years. You know, as in those days, contracts would continue for years and years and years, because it was the days before IR35 and all those challenging things. But then I eventually got to the understanding that you know what, I could do this myself. I don't need to be working for someone else. So I sort of started taking on turnkey projects for people in the water industry, the energy from waste, and I was looking after that and doing the project management, the design, and that continued nicely for quite a while, until I'd taken on some employees myself to service some bigger contracts, and then that magical thing that we all say disrupted us all was the pandemic, and work did dry up. So what we did then was to refocus on what we were doing and look at much smaller jobs, helping smaller companies to actually get to the nitty-gritty of what they need. And it's something that, to be honest, I've always been involved in. I'm what you would call the nightmare guest at a dinner party. You know the sort that you invite them in, they disappear off to the bathroom, and then they come down and tell you that they've actually fixed the squeaky door and replaced your ball cock.
That's a great analogy. I love it.
But that's the sort of thing I always like doing, is sort of finding the things that aren't working properly, and even if someone doesn't know they're not working properly, and helping find a solution for them.
I think that's part of it, isn't it? I think people start businesses and think they should be experts in every single part of it, and you can't possibly be. So
absolutely not.
You do the best that you can, and you get on with it. And quite often there are quite large gaps in someone else's eyes that you just don't see them because you're so used to the everyday of what you do.
And there's never any shame in that. You don't know everything, and no business owner should expect that. We shouldn't beat ourselves up over it.
100% agree. And you can only learn by talking to others. They should really. It's just, why wouldn't you examine it? Why wouldn't you look at what you do and just make sure, if someone comes in and says everything's brilliant, well,
we don't believe that, do we?
Or if you're happy, you don't have to change, but to understand that you can change it is very useful.
Yeah. And it's a lonely business, isn't it? When you're running a business, you've been doing it for a number of years, and you get sort of fairly entrenched in how you do things, that it's all working okay, and it's difficult to spot that actually there are things that have changed, regulation has come in, and it could be improved. And who do you turn to?
Yeah, it's very easy to get blinkered. I've been there in the past. You've got your four walls, don't really see what's changing out in the big wide world. And what sort of companies do you go and help, Peter?
We deal with manufacturers or people in the manufacturing chain predominantly, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're producing widgets or they're sort of making automotive components. There's lots of people who are making something, and it could be food, water, chemicals, any sort of fluids that are moving around. Anybody is actually making things that, as a marketing consultant put it, either they move or they transform, and it sort of covers virtually everything.
Absolutely. But I guess the sorts of problems you come up against, even though they're in different industries, must be pretty standard across the board. It's either price, place, logistics, quality, people.
To be honest, it's entirely the opposite.
Right. Okay.
There are things that we come across where there are opportunities from other industries that can be used, and there are similarities in terms of a lot of problems are about people not having training, not understanding, not being used fully, or machinery that is underutilized or used for the wrong purpose. So those are common features, but in terms of every business is going to be different, and we just cannot go into a company and say we know what to do for you, because it's not our company, it's theirs, and we have to work quite hard to tease out what they want, what they do, and that's our focus, is to try and build it around them, not try and force them into something that is going to change the nature of the business itself.
That makes sense. Tell me, when you first meet companies, if you could literally just say to them, "Here's my top tip," what would be the first thing you'd say to any business before even they get you in? What's the first tip they should be doing? What if you had to give a piece of information to them, what would that be? But just sort of wondering. I can press that.
Quite a leading question, that, Ed, wasn't it?
Yeah. Lead? How do you come that?
Top tip. Yeah, that's challenging because there's so many. Again, it's really dependent on the circumstances. I think the biggest one I could offer is know your people. Virtually every company runs on people, and their clients are people. And I mean, if they don't have those, if they don't run along those lines, they're almost a catalog organization.
That makes sense.
So they're just moving boxes. So understanding what their people are doing and how they feel is crucial, because that's their biggest investment in most cases. Yeah. They can develop from in-house. They've got skills and resources that they can reuse and build the company.
Yeah.
So that understanding is key.
I think that Andy and I come across a lot, which is that people have staff who are very, very competent, but they don't. There's no communication between this is your job, fantastic, but actually what's this person capable of? And I think if you fulfill people's capabilities within their roles, firstly your business grows because you're going to get the maximum out of them, but also their longevity with you stays because they get job fulfillment. I mean, there's so many positive things that come from it, and the cost of recruitment is a nightmare. Why lose staff just because actually you're not listening to them? It's the easiest thing to do.
It is pointless to waste that opportunity.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Absolutely, totally agree with you. It's a fascinating thing. So when you come across objections when you walk into people, i.e., you say there's a better way of doing that, and they say, "Oh no, there's not." How do you cope with that sort of within businesses?
Yes, you're right. There is often quite a lot of resistance to
what you'll find in the widget building trade. It's not like any other trade. Yeah, I mean that's sort of
it is, and the philosophy that many people have is that we know what we're doing, and it's the only way it can be done. There's a lot of diplomacy that you need. Again, it's down to the people and the personalities and understanding why are they telling you that they don't want to change? Is it because they're frightened of losing their jobs? You know, that someone might come in and automate, and that's a problem that I've experienced in the past. Is I'm an automation engineer by original profession, so people are thinking he's going to make me redundant. Well, no, we're just looking how can we improve what you do, and allow you to use your skills to better effect.
Use your staff more productively. I mean, 100%. Automation is an interesting thing, because I know Andy does a lot with things like HubSpot and things when he goes into people's businesses, and people go, "Oh, no, I do all the emails," and you're like, "That's fantastic," but actually, if you did all the emails through here and then you freed up 3 hours of your day, what else could you do in that day that you might actually like doing? Because nobody likes doing that one by one. And it's that sort of understanding. Oh, actually, I'm going to get more out of my job because it's more fun. The business makes more money, so there's more money to pay me, and more stability, and it's a win-win-win actually situation. It's just
it is
understand that. I think it's
and people are they're feeling more valued.
100%.
I think maybe it's like biding your time, I suppose, with the business owners in not trying to deliver too much straight away. You have a lot going on in your mind, Peter, in terms of efficiencies, automation, whatever it is. And it's just not overloading that. It's just one small step at a time over a consistent period, I guess. And that, in my mind, is the best way that it should work. It's a relationship, isn't it?
It is, and that's actually one of the reasons why we decided to go for looking at smaller projects and trying to build from the very start, where the client doesn't know what they want. If you come in at a late stage where they've already defined a project, we need to go from point A to point B, and they've already defined how they're going to do it, and they've got the equipment, then there are opportunities that you could have put in to help save them money, or improve how the process works, or factor in future developments. So having that early conversation and the relationship, you can take the client through steps, and actually, what we will do is leave them with a plan, a long-term plan of what they could do. Mostly things that they can do in-house, so their people are actually taking ownership of making the changes, but also they can see that they're getting gains in small stages, as you said, Andy, but they've also got to focus to where they want to be. And it's no point putting a new machine, for instance, in a process line that is then going to have to be moved in 2 years' time, because they're going to change their process again. So build that facility in to make it as easy as possible, and they know they can do it whenever they need to. So that plan, the future program, is really necessary to build in for the clients.
Some of those learning curves you must have to go through with the clients, if you like, because they're doing something that's maybe new to you, etc. Must be quite interesting.
That's the fun bit.
Real diverse products and real diverse sort of product ranges.
You can't be an expert in everything, and it is difficult to retain all the details. But it's fascinating the different things we've seen on different plants and different processes. And there's lots of little snippets that you can borrow from one industry to another and say, oh yeah, that could be useful, but in a different way.
It just sounds like a fascinating job, just different every day.
Yeah, and you get to see quite a few different process plants, manufacturing companies, and seeing how they work, and they're all very different. And there's always good people in them. It's nice to walk around them.
I think so. So you've told us all about the fact that you're very, very good at fixing people's ball cocks, fixing the
without anesthetics.
So what we like to do is just take you up your comfort zone slightly and just find out a little bit more about you. Just because I reckon that you're a man of hidden talents.
You've
What hidden talent, Peter?
opening up a can of worms here, aren't we? Well, not necessarily worms. Well, something I am actually known for is I make wine.
Oh,
So yeah, I saw that enthusiasm suddenly come up. Yeah,
are you one of these people who go, "I've got my potato and pea wine from 2008"?
Yes, I haven't quite stooped that low, but certainly I do make wines, or you can't really call them wines if they're hedgerow stuff, elderflower.
Oh, wonderful.
They are, yes. I have got a vine in the garden, and we've made 5 gallons out of that this year.
Whoa, that's quite a vine.
Yeah.
Yes, it has got very enthusiastic.
Have you got like a veranda with it over, or how you?
No, it's on a fence. It's just one single vine, and it's produced that much juice.
Wow,
And that's bubbling away in the office at the moment.
Watch that.
We could do a good business like the Cobra Club wine. Cobra wine.
Yeah, but what color do you prefer, red or white?
Oh, well, now tell me about that. That's depending on whether you put the skins in or don't put the skins in. Is that right?
Well, my particular vine actually has got red juice.
Really?
So it is a red wine. You're right about keeping the skins in makes it darker,
Yeah.
and most red wines are made from red grapes or black grapes, which have got clear or light juice, and then you leave the skins in to give you the color.
Oh.
But mine's got like a bluish red tinge to it. Very
Blue Nun. Is that the one?
Wash your mouth out.
So just quickly, Peter, we're rapidly sort of running out of time. Only a couple of minutes left. Let's say I'm a manufacturing small startup-y, enterprisey thing, and I don't know where to start. How does it work? Getting hold of yourself? How would I do it? Do you do a free consultation? What's the process?
Yeah, we certainly do. We're always happy to talk to someone about any questions. If they've got any ideas that they want to just sanity check, we'll quite often offer a free consultation. An hour usually is enough. We're pretty generous about it. I can be contacted through LinkedIn. It's reasonably open, through the Cobra Club as well. You've got the email address, the website, and the phone number is going across now. We are offering a workshop for small manufacturers, which we've yet to sort of finalise on the exact date when that's building up. We're currently running it, but we're opening it up a bit wider. It's specifically for smaller manufacturers who just don't have the time or the people or the knowledge necessarily in-house to be able to get over the hump of starting off making improvements.
Yeah.
If we can't help, we will say, but actually we know a lot of other people who might be able to. So like in the Cobra Club, there are other people are available.
Fantastic.
That's the right way of doing it.
I guess that we'll see that. Will that be on your website? Will it when that comes live?
That will definitely be on the website. Yes.
Fantastic, Peter.
Okay.
Well, we wish you all the best for that, and
Thank you very much.
Keep us informed, and let's have you back on the show at some point. You can give us an update, and just want to say thank you ever so much for coming on today. It's been great to get to know you on the show, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Excellent. Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me.
Cheers, Peter.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. We're getting down to the wire.
sorry. It's news time. So as we spoke earlier, we're talking about the wonderful Elaine Atherton. So we have the Cobra Club Make It Happen Hub, which is a sales and accountability hub or session, which runs every Wednesday morning from 9 till 10:30 a.m. And the first one that happened this morning, which was absolutely fantastic. So thank you to Elaine for that. Also, I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Chris Cutting, who's got his CV advisory workshop. So yeah, if you yourself or you know someone who's struggling to get their CV sort of looked at and get that CV over the line and getting you interviews, then please do come along to the CV workshop at the Cobra Club with the incredible Mr. Chris Cutting. And also, I'd like to give a big shout out to Mr. Jerry Walsingham from Honey Legal, who's doing an estate planning advice workshop. So answering questions about estate, powers of attorney, anything that's those little questions that you might have about your estate and about any of the things that he does. So yeah, please do come along to that too. So that's 3 things that's sort of going on, which is the news for this week. So that's all pretty good, isn't it, Ed?
It's brilliant. And then, just a bit of time with them, you just learn so much from each of these people when you spend some time with them. It's,
it doesn't take long. So guys, what we're going to do, we are now going to I'm going to hit the VT, and when we come back we will have Mr. Richard Moller in the room. So let's hit this.
We could do this VT instead.
Go on then, Ed. Thanks, Ed.
Pleasure, sir. How are you?
Yeah, very good. I was going to bring Richard in there, but not to worry. I'm going to bring Richard in after the next VT.
I've got another one to play you.
So, in terms of my hero of the week, this week, it's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. It's going to be Elaine Atherton, who's stepped up and has started to run her sales and accountability hub at the Cobra Club.
And a great meeting.
Very passionate about what she does, very knowledgeable. She is my hero of the week.
Bon, très bien. Well done. You can play another VT.
So
I tell you what, we could play a VT and then we could get Richard in. If we do this VT, Mr. Hatcher, this will win you brownie points.
Okay.
Finally, I had to do that because he was eating all the olives in the green room.
Hello, Richard. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you two?
Yeah, really well.
Not too bad. Not too bad. Is this your first time live on LinkedIn?
It is, yes.
Well, it's not too. Ed doesn't bite too much. You've got to watch him.
That's some really horrid questions to ask him.
That's fine.
Yeah. So, Richard, I don't know if you caught the start of the last one, but what we like to do is find a little bit about our guests, and we'll come on to the business you're in now, but a bit about Richard in the background, a bit about Richard maybe growing up, what you've been up to with work. Just a couple of minutes on work, life story, where you've come now.
Yeah, so if you go back to when I went to university, my objective when I went to university was to become a scientist, was actually what I was going to do. But then after doing a year of my natural sciences degree at Cambridge, I decided that I really wasn't cut out to be a scientist, and I just needed to finish my degree and then find a job. So pretty much that's what I did, and I ended up kind of falling into financial services to some extent. I ended up getting a job for an independent financial advisor down in London, and I really enjoyed the challenge of the job down there. But London was not the place for me, so worked there for about 3 and a bit years, and then decided to move back up to the northeast. Had a little break in between to go and do a ski instructor's qualification, and spent four months out in Verbier. So that was lovely. Spent all the money I'd earned in London. Moved back up to the northeast, and ended up working for UBS for nearly 7 years, looking after kind of high net worth individuals, but decided that it wasn't as rewarding as it was in terms of the challenge of the work. I wanted to actually help more people, help a wider variety of people, and be able to help people who actually the advice was going to make a real impact on their day-to-day life. So that's where I chose to kind of move across and be part of Hibbett Wealth Management, which is part of St James's Place, and be able to provide advice to clients that I want to be able to help, and everyday people, as opposed to those who've already made a success of their lives, helping people to actually make a success and really have an impact, and be able to help them to retire as and when they want, in the style they want, rather than it be just about helping people who've already made it to manage their finances.
There's something exciting about working with people as they progress through life, really, isn't it? So it must be quite just a really rewarding job to do, I suppose.
It is, and when you can see the impact it actually has on people's lives, it really is rewarding seeing that difference, especially when people don't understand where they are financially, and you can actually see the weight lift off their shoulders as they start to get that understanding and see where they go and see that plan unfold.
Yeah, I think
Do you find there's I suppose a certain age range where people start thinking about their pensions, or you find in these days that maybe the younger generation are starting earlier, or where does it sit?
There's a massive difference. You still tend to have people who are around kind of getting towards 50, tends to be the age that people start to think about it, that they see that kind of big 50 coming, and they go, oh, I really need to start thinking about my retirement, because actually it's getting closer and closer. You have got quite a few people now who probably more in their 30s who are going, actually, I really need to start thinking about it, because it's not that far away. I've got to plan. Still, if you look at kind of 18, 19, 20-year-olds, and most people in their 20s, they're still not thinking about it. They're barely even thinking about buying a house, never mind what they're doing for their long-term planning. So you do get some, but there's still very much, especially with the age of kind of instant gratification, that people are still looking at the immediate and not the longer term. But hopefully we can start to change that, because through financial education, through improving people's understanding of what they need to do. Obviously, the government brought in auto-enrolment, so people are starting to get more of an understanding of what a pension is, and hopefully that will make a big difference for that younger generation as well.
Yeah. I guess, would you agree that the pension crisis is still looming? That was talked about many moons ago, which we must be on the road to that now, or are things sort of changing?
There's still a massive pensions crisis, in obviously as people are living for longer and living active lives for longer, they need more money in retirement in reality, and the state pension's never going to provide that, and the state can't afford to, especially as you've got kind of the baby boomer generation moving into retirement. So you've actually going to end up with more people retired and less people in work, so it's just not going to fund that, and the problem as well is then people haven't got those private pensions in place, and a lot of people haven't had the advice, partly because they don't realize they can get it, and they don't realize there is access to advice about what they do, and it is about trying to plan earlier, but there's still going to be lots of people who are going to have, unfortunately, not a very attractive retirement because they haven't planned early enough.
What lessons can we learn from other countries? So I think Japan is a very old and a small workforce, but a large in this first world. Are there other countries you can look at, see the model, and say, oh, actually, they did well or they didn't do well?
There's probably a bit. To be honest, I don't know a huge amount about what the other countries do, because there's enough to learn about UK legislation, never mind the legislation overseas. But I think one of the big things that we can learn is actually the government have taken a reasonable step to start with, but it is only a first step, and people need to take a little bit of personal responsibility about their longer term future, and it is a bit of that. But education is a huge thing, and that's why one of the services that I provide as a free service to businesses is doing financial education in the workplace. So go and talk to the employees about budgeting, saving, about planning for retirement, and various other areas to give them a base understanding of finance, because it isn't something that people are taught in schools much. And again, that's something else that I provide is going to schools and provide an element of financial education from primary age and secondary age. There are different programs we do, but trying to get teachers to do it is virtually impossible because they haven't got the knowledge and understanding in the first place themselves. So it's a little bit the blind leading the blind, and actually there needs to be that intervention from my view, from the financial services sector to actually how can we help and how can we improve the education of the country as a whole to improve the overall financial well-being of everyone.
And try and simplify the terminology, because I think a lot of people get really confused with just the terminology, and actually some of it's quite, in layman's terms, quite simple. It doesn't have to. It's not have to be complicated. It's just that you have to understand your situation and what you want to achieve, and then put something in place to help you with it. It doesn't have to be a maths degree to be shown. I think the biggest thing people struggle with is actually understanding where they are at the minute, and I think part of that is that credit is so easily available at the minute, and actually getting and understanding the terms of that credit and what it means and what APR means and what the different terms mean and what that means you're actually paying is really difficult, and people can very easily, and I know plenty of people who have done, get into substantial amounts of debt and actually really struggle then to get out of it, and I know a few people who in their early 20s have had to declare themselves bankrupt, which is horrific because it impacts them for such a long time afterwards. But it's because there's not that education and because there's not that understanding of the impact of credit. So if you were talking to, I don't know, let's say university student union, and there were 50, 100 people in that room, what sort of top tip would you give to someone starting out? Just, this is what you should do now. I know they've got a million. I mean, life is bubbling and everything's going to be happening. But what sort of top tips would you come out with?
I mean,
You got to let me press my button.
One of the big things I would say is when they're starting out and when they first get a job and they start earning and even if they're working at university, try and do it, is to not just spend what they earn, try and put away an element of savings each week, each month, depending on how they're paid, so that they've got something put away, and also they're used to that habit of saving something. Move it into a different account. Don't leave it sat in your current account. Put it into a separate account and have it. And even if it's only a tenner a week, the difference that can make actually over a period of time, if you add it up over a year, over 52 weeks, that's 520 quid. That, it's not an insubstantial amount of money when you actually work it out. But actually on a weekly basis, are you going to miss a tenner from what you earn? And the answer is probably no, especially if you're not used to having it. So the more you can budget that in to start with, the more you're going to be in a better position for the long term, and try and avoid touching it if you can.
Yeah, I met a millionaire once who said that his father taught him to save 10% of his wages from day one. And he said, once you have money, you can use that money to make money. And that's exactly what he did. It's the best lesson I ever learned. And he said it's easy because you don't know, like you just said, you're not used to spending the money. Typically, when you first start out, you haven't got the sort of like family, etc., that people have later on in life, and it's not easy, but it's a more easy thing to do, and you're just in the habit of doing it then, aren't you? So it doesn't happen.
And kind of the same thing applies for pension as well. You start your workplace pension, you do auto enrollment, do a bit more and do a bit extra, because if you don't get it into your bank account, you won't miss it at the end of the day.
It's great advice.
Megan says great advice for both guests. That certainly is great advice.
So when you're an interesting man, a scientist turned financial wizard. So you must be quite mentally driven to change paths like that. You must be inspired by lots of different things. So the question that I'm going to put you on the spot with, Andy, I'm not informed today, you see, is I'd like to know where your inspiration comes from.
quite difficult one, that, in terms of where my driver, what drives me is, one, seeing that reward of helping people and actually seeing the impact it has on people. And obviously there's my family as well. I've got 2 young kids and a wife, and that really does drive me. In terms of inspiration, to some extent it is actually my parents, in terms of the fact that they worked really hard. They sent me, my brother and sister, to private school. If they'd known how much it was going to cost by the time we finished, they would never have done it to start with. But at the time, the state provision unfortunately wasn't very good, so they made that decision, and actually they worked really, really hard to be able to continue to do that, and made substantial sacrifices as a consequence. And actually doing that meant that we got a very good education. I was educated well enough to go to Cambridge University and be able to do.
Went off and did something totally different.
Yeah, and be able to do what I do now, and have the freedom to do it. So for me, that they are probably my biggest inspiration from that perspective.
In life, but I think also it's the outlook on life as well. Is that you're not pegged by your upbringing. You're not pegged by where you've come from. Certainly not these days. It's far more open, the world, than people think that it is. I believe.
Definitely, it certainly is.
Opportunities.
Yeah, I think we're all probably unaware. I think as we get older, let's say, we get more aware of the sacrifices our parents made for us.
Definitely.
That's for sure. But no, it's interesting stuff. But we are rapidly running out of time, Richard. But let's say, we wanted to chat about my pension. I'm in a crisis. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm going to be living off in the next 20 years when I retire. How would it work? How would I get hold of you, Richard? Do you do like free consultations? Do you how tell me about the process of meeting you and what happens in that meeting?
Yeah, so as I say, it's free consultation. You can get in touch as is there, kind of email or on phone. I'm quite happy for people to just give me a call and ask me a question. And even if it's something that, they just need a bit of guidance on something, I'm always happy to provide that, because at the end of the day, I enjoy helping people, and that's why I do what I do. In terms of if someone is needing advice on their pensions or their investment or whatever it is, it would be free consultation, free chat, and then actually they're never going to pay anything unless they choose to take up the advice. So it's only at the point that they say, yes, I want to go ahead with it. They're fully aware of what the costs and charges are at that point. They know the implications, and hopefully they've got a very good understanding of how it's going to benefit them. Because one of the big things for me is making sure that people understand, one, what they're invested in, but also why we're doing what we're doing. Because ultimately, that's the biggest thing, is I want them to understand it. And it is a journey, as much as people hate using that word. It is a journey, and I want to be on that journey with them and helping them along the way. And that's the whole point of kind of the service that we offer, is to be there to hold their hand on the financial side of things.
Yeah, totally agree.
Fantastic. I would definitely highly recommend Richard, SJP, or is it Hibbett?
Hibbett Wealth Management, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much, Richard. Great having you on the show today. So, awesome stuff. Hope you enjoyed it.
How are you finding the Cobra Club?
It's brilliant. I mean, it must be pretty much coming up for a year now since I actually joined.
Wow.
So it's been really good. It's a fantastic community of people who are all very happy to help each other. And I think it's a brilliant place to be, hence why I have been for the last year.
Alan Cohen is a fan. And he's totally and utterly right. You need to pull things together, make it an understanding. I mean, if nothing else, it's good to know, what's happening and where things are coming from. So thanks, Alan. That's Alan Cohen from Text My Deal. And then we also have Zafran Khan, who's been nominated for a business award.
Business Networker of the Year, isn't it?
Yeah, and he runs our
Pop your link in the chat, Zaf. Let's all vote.
Monday Mayhem up in Birmingham Central.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Richard. We look forward to seeing you in the club. And once again, thanks for coming on the show today. And see you soon.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, Ed. Well, that was good. Brilliant to hear from Richard there and Peter earlier. Just shows how much wisdom, knowledge there is out there, and fantastic to have Richard, let's say Peter's part of the Cobra Club, to be able to give that knowledge and share that knowledge with members.
Yeah,
But there's one thing, Ed, that I'd like to ask you, and I always like to hear, your thoughts and feelings on things. So I wonder what your words of wisdom are for this week.
Well, I think all of our guests today would agree with Eleanor Roosevelt, who says, "Learn from the mistakes of others. You can't live long enough to make them yourself." So there is huge amounts of knowledge that's there for people to take access to. We either use that knowledge or we don't. So I can keep on bashing my widgets, and I can get them wrong and I can get them right. But actually, there are loads of people who've made widgets in the world. So if I learn from their mistakes, I can get better. Everybody in the country at some point will be born and will die and will pay taxes. And some people seem to do it much better than other people. So they have knowledge I don't have. So why would you not learn from others instead of just trying to reinvent the wheel yourself the whole time? So I would encourage, Richard is the embodiment of that. Go and have a chat. It's free. What's the worst that can happen? He tells you you've got no pension in your, but actually some really good things come from these chats. And actually makes life better, makes life more engaging. And Eleanor Roosevelt, who is one of those people who is truly inspiring and inspirational, women of her time. She's absolutely spot on right. And these old lessons that people give, we can learn from.
Brilliant. Fantastic, Ed. Thanks for those wise words of wisdom.
You can vote for Zaf, by the way. If you lots of words. Truly humbled for being shortlisted at Birmingham Awards. It's time for that vote. So if you pop on that link, then with the virtual bit, or just Google Birmingham Business Awards, you can find Zaf and you can give him a vote because he's a fantastic networker, a truly inspirational guy, really, really well connected. Fantastically well connected, actually, across the FSB. He's an FSB advisor, so knows hundreds of thousands of people. So, give him a vote, pat him on the back, and go and have a one-to-one with him. And if you want to find out more about the FSB, go and chat to him because he'll tell you all about it.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Thanks.
My little pitch
Ed,
for
thanks,
that.
Zaf. So I think now, Ed, we are sort of running out of time. So I think it's time to go into the weekly networking events.
The weekly networking events?
Are you ready for this, are you?
I'm ready for the weekly networking events.
Okay, let's make this happening. Here we go.
Well, we have to kick off the weekly networking events with the networking event of the week, Monday Motivation, hosted by me, every Monday morning, 9 till 10. Come and get your diary full of appointments.
Fantastic. Then next up, Christie's Virtual Coffee Club, every Monday from 3 to 4 p.m. Come along and have a
Then you've heard from her earlier, the truly inspirational Hannah Matarazzo from Cobra Creative. So pop along to that. That's on Mondays at 4 o'clock.
Fantastic. There he is, Mr. 00 Heaven himself, Mr. Zafran Khan. He's the set worker of the year. Monday Mayhem, 7:30 p.m. to 8:30.
On a Tuesday morning, kick in to the West with Judith West. Quest West Business Network, 10 page at 11:30. With more info on the music.
Fantastic. Then next up, Mrs. Fairy Godmother, or AKA the Mr. Peter Dodging Store, Tantalising Taylor, Yvonne Taylor, every Tuesday at midday.
Get well soon, Yvonne, and then pop along to Victoria Woods every Tuesday, 1 to 2:30 in the Cobra office.
Fantastic. Well done. Next up, we have incredible Katrina Ellis, Titan Troubleshooters, every Tuesday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Troubleshoot those business problems.
And then the Investment Lounge kicks off on Wednesdays, 10 to 11. With one David Lockett, David Lockett.
Brilliant. And coming up today, midday today, speed networking with Catherine Kirkland in the Club. So come along, it's a lot of fun. We'll be involved.
I cross line with the number one best-selling Amazon author, Stephanie Lockett, Wednesday 2 to 3:30.
Brilliant. Next up, May 13th, Talent Wednesday night with Ed and Andy. 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. inside the Cobra Club. Get involved.
Toot toot! Then pop on the Cobra Express every Friday 2 to 3:30 with Alan Cannon, one of the best connected people in Scotland that I've ever met.
Brilliant. And last but not least, the wonderful Sharon Ritchie, Friday, based up in Edinburgh, every Friday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Bring a drink, log on, see you there. But Ed, there's one more question I need to ask you. Where is there?
Where is there? There? Well, Mr. Andrew Hatcher, there is the Cobra Club, which is www.thecobraclub.co.uk. Pop along, have a look. You can book a virtual tour. You can come on board, and Andy and I will show you around and tell you all about how it works and all the different clubs and all the different things that you can benefit from within the Cobra Club. www.thecobraclub.co.uk.
Fantastic. Well done, Ed. Thank you so much. That's it, guys. It's been an emotional show once again. Any more? There you go. Thanks, Saf.
Thanks, Saf.
Right. Over and out. We'll see
Over
you
and
next
out.
week, guys.
See you next week. Thank you very much, guys.
Now you're watching me, yeah, all eyes on me, 'cause I've been living the good life. So come fly with me into my fantasy, and we be loving the good life, good life.
I think this dream now just hit me. Why don't you just go there with me? Surfing the skies and splash in the clouds, dance in the crowds and laugh out loud. Holding your hand, unfolding a plan. Two souls in a land like gold in a pan. Float in the breeze or soak in the sea. Come go there with me where we both wanna be. Lie on the beach or fly in the streets. I'm trying to keep this vine in the reach. Putting everything I do aside, me and you approach. We can travel to the very end of the universe. You and me are meant to be divine energy. Living with no rules in a pool of serenity. Come be my fantasy, go away with me. Lock us up in a dream and throw away the keys. Come on, live this up now. Good life, good laugh, good love now. Come on, live this with me. Good laugh, good love, we live free. Come on, live this up now. Good life, good laugh, good love now. Come on, live this with me. Good laugh, good love, we live free. We need to rise with these new eyes. Pull the disguise off of these blue skies. Lights in the city reflect off the shoreline. When you're living this life, you want more time. Rewind the time, align planets. Ride this comet to a new dynamic. Your eyes on me, mine on you. Living the good life, we do